It's a lot different than normal years because we have three statements. So we're just going to try taking turns with who answers and then who rebuttals and then who rebuttals and rebuttal. It's going to be a little confusing, but we think they're right here, so don't worry about that. They'll have 5 minutes for opening statement, 2 minutes to answer each question, and 1 minute for rebuttal, and then 3 minutes for a closing statement. And so we'll reiterate that every time we have to do so. So for the opening statement, we'll start with Trygve and Abby. You guys have 5 minutes.
Okay. Hi everyone, thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Trygve Henderson. I am a third-year bio major and I have minors in leadership and Spanish. Currently on campus, I'm involved in football, Baldwin Leadership Fellows, and then in Senate here, I sit on the Student Relations Committee and the Senate Review Committee.
Hi guys, my name is Abby Klug. I'm going to turn around just because I feel like there's people behind me. I am a third-year English and History major with an emphasis in literature and a minor in Spanish as well. On campus, I am involved in cheerleading, homecoming committee. I'm a member of the Wurzel team, and I also am a part of the ambassadors program. Trygve and I are very excited to be speaking to you today because we're both very, very passionate about Wartburg, and that's why we decided to run together, because we both had the same passions and ideas for this college. So we're very happy that you all took time out of your schedule here to come listen to us speak today, and we're really excited to let you know what we have in mind.
Yeah, so for our campaign and our future, for our candidacy if we are elected, we would like to implement something we call the Student Engagement Initiative. And the Student Engagement Initiative, the main idea behind it is reconnecting with the student body, because we feel like there's a certain disconnect between Senate and the student body. So to do that, the first thing we would like to do is change out how minutes are sent out. Currently, the recorder takes the minutes and then it is sent to each individual senator and then it is sent to their constituents. And it's done that way so the senators on their floor can interact with their senators. But a lot of times senators don't send out their minutes, or not everyone gets them. And then that is a huge detriment to the student body in understanding what we are doing as a Senate and continuing to push ourselves forward. So we would like to send out minutes similar to like how the juice does it, just with the text right in there from the student body. And then we would like to have a Senate request button as well on the Senate website. And so it'd be similar to like how maintenance has their maintenance request button, and you could go in and ask Senate to do this, or if you had an issue on campus and want to see a change in something here, you could put in a request button. And then even though we would have be sending out minutes from the senators to their constituents, we would like to have our senators spend more time with their constituents. So having things like floor events and getting to know them more personally. So like maybe once or twice a semester you'd have a floor event where you would sit down with the people on your floor and you talk to them about how their semester is going maybe, or just about what they'd like to see improved on campus, what they feel like could be better. And then lastly, we'd like to have a greater presence on social media with the Student Engagement Initiative. Right now we don't do a lot on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or stuff like that. And a lot of our student body uses those platforms, so I think it would be a really great thing for us to push forward.
For sure. And along with the Student Engagement Initiative, we also want to continue some more dialogue that we've had recently in the past couple of weeks. If we were to be elected as student body president and vice president, we would stress the importance of safety and diversity here on our campus. It's definitely all around right that everyone has, that they are safe and they are secure here on their campus. That is their second home. This being said, we will be aware of these issues and we will make it in our it would be very important for us to acknowledge their presence, that we have these issues. But in our opinion, as of thus now, we will continue off of what the college has done thus far, as we feel as they have done a very good job addressing these issues. However, we also believe that there needs to be a change in the campus culture, and we must work together as a student body to enforce these changes in not only the way we act and react, but in the way we think as well. And so we want to build these relationships with our student body and our constituents in order to build the safe campus environment for everyone.
And then lastly, we did some tabling the other day and listened to some student voices in person, and they had some suggestions. So we'd like to do things like put a panini maker in the Mensa,
Important things.
water filters around campus, and faster Wi-Fi. So thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we'll move on to Josh and me.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Voigt. I'm a second-year student from South Africa, and I am running for student body president. I major in multimedia journalism and public relations with a minor in leadership. I've been involved in student senate leadership since the very beginning of my Wartburg career. In my first year, I was the hall chair for the complex, serving to improve the complex as well as advise the executive team during cabinet meetings. This year, I've served as the executive assistant for diversity, a job that requires me to spread the feel of diversity among campus and ensure that all voices are heard. I also advise the diversity committee.
Hello everyone, my name is Breyanna Primous and I am a third year from St. Louis, Missouri. I am currently running for student body vice president. I am currently majoring in business administration with a management concentration and a minor in leadership. And I am currently the diversity committee chair, which allows me to work with Josh and a passionate group of senators to ensure that every single student has a place for their voice to be heard. Josh and I decided to run for student body president and vice president together because we know that what we believe and what we want to see happen with Wartburg and Senate aligns with the Wartburg mission statement. Our beliefs and ideas have been influencing a number of groups this year. For Senate, we have been leading diversity committee together, and outside of Senate, we have also worked together for MLK committee as the student representatives on the Multicultural Diversity Studies Committee and as members of ambassadors.
The decision for us to run was something that took a lot of thought. We were talking after one of our MDSC meetings and we realized that the impact that we can have is extensive. We've worked hard and gotten some good results as a team, but we want to take those results and apply them to all of Senate and to the entire student body. There have been some difficult times this year, and we understand that some students do not feel safe and are unhappy with the campus climate. We want to guarantee that we will work as hard as possible to ensure that campus is safe for everyone by pushing the administration to follow up on all of the promises that they have made during this tough period. We will also encourage everyone to continue the conversations that we have been having. We do not want these issues that have been happening over the past couple of weeks to just be issues that simply fall away. We want to push and ensure that these issues are properly addressed. Now, one of the other areas that we will work on is inclusivity at Wartburg.
The school is full of people from diverse backgrounds with different religions, ethnicities, cultures, languages, nationalities, political beliefs, and many other aspects. And everything we've done for the student body, we have worked hard to provide students with a platform for their voices to be heard. We would like to continue these efforts across all of campus. Through Diversity Committee, we have tried our best to make Wartburg more inclusive, whether it be through our diversity newsletter or our monthly peace dialogues. We want to make sure that all students have a platform that they can utilize to ensure that their voices are heard, even if we may have differing ideas. Along with inclusivity, we have some specific areas that we would like to work on. But the three main areas are efficiency, engagement, and transparency.
So we want to start with efficiency. Senators are passionate about what we do. Everything we do for the student body. We want everyone to know that the work that they are doing has results. We want the student body to know that all of the work we are doing is for you and that the actions we take have big consequences on campus. However, we want to do this without giving an unnecessary amount of extra work to senators. We want to make sure that the projects we work on and everything Senate is doing will have a big impact without having an unnecessary workload.
And in order to make Student Senate more effective, we believe that we need more engagement. We believe that there is a gap between student organizations and Senate. We want to bridge that gap and make sure that Senate is an organization that can be utilized by other organizations. This idea stems from the delegation plan that we have implemented into Diversity Committee. The idea behind this is that while individual students have direct line of communication to Senate, most organizations may feel that they do not. Organizations should be able to use Senate as a tool to allow them to be as effective as possible.
And finally, with the events that have been going on recently, we as students have realized that when there are breakdowns in communication, problems escalate. In everything that Senate is doing, we need to be sure that the student body fully understands our actions and the reasoning behind them. This is important because if people do not have a clear understanding of what is happening, then we as leaders cannot be held accountable for our actions. Now, we urge you to hold all leaders at Wartburg accountable for their decisions, regardless of who the leaders are or what level they are leading from. We need transparency in order to be sure that we can be held accountable. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to your questions.
I'm Ashlee Henderson. I'm a third-year accounting and business administration major here with a minor in data analytics. This is my third year here on campus, third year on the St. Elizabeth Chorale, as well as my third year in Senate, and I've held a lot of different hats within Senate. In my 3 years, I started out, like a couple of my colleagues, that as a hall chair my first year, as well as a fellow senator, and then moving on to recorder my sophomore year, and then this year I held the position of administrative ombudsperson before I was asked to take on the role of being vice president, which is the position that I currently fulfill.
Hi, my name is Nathan Trabue. I am a second-year biochemistry major with a minor in leadership. This will be my second year serving on Senate, and in these 2 years I've had a lot of experience with Senate. I served on a multiplicity of different committees, whether it be administration or the ones that we have as students. Over these years, I've also been able to serve as the Clinton and Founders Hall Council representative, in which we have a lot of great things planned for this year. I'm also a part of Best Buddies, where I work as the activities coordinator, which is planning activities. And then I'm also the lead curator for TEDx, where I can help give students and the faculty a way to voice their opinion to the world. So Ashlee and I just chose to run together for president and vice president because we feel that our experience and passion for Senate has given us knowledge to be able to make a change for the student body. Sorry, and some of the things we value are the pillars of Wartburg, which are leadership, learning, service, and faith. And these have really helped us combine our style, which is leadership and faith. And service. Service is very key. Sorry. Our leadership style, I'm so sorry. Sorry. To us, leadership means motivating, inspiring, and empowering others towards success. We believe that this service means taking action and being part of a solution that benefits the community, greater than ourselves.
And a high priority for us is space utilization, which can mean a couple different things to people. First, we want to focus on just the plain efficiency and the amenities that our spaces around campus offer, whether that's residential hall lounges or different lounges within the academic buildings. We've heard from students before that these are big concerns that we want to make sure that those spaces tend to the needs of the students that we have now. And also to the residential halls, I think that's a topic that we all agree that safety is a large concern, and no matter who wins, that will be a big focus for everyone. And we want to focus on making sure that any space that we have, especially residential halls, are a place that people feel safe and that they know that they can go to Senate to say, I feel unsafe here. These are the specific things that we want changed. Because we want everyone to make sure that they have places where they can feel safe and that they really feel are utilized well. And even with conversations with President Colson, he said that this is already a big priority for the college, and so we want to utilize Senate to gain a unified perspective of what the students want specifically, so that we can transfer those ideas to the college.
We also want to address the student issues that have been coming up year after year, including the dining services. So these issues range from the structure of our meal plan system to providing nutritional facts about the meals, as well as the meals themselves, as well as a big one, which is making the Mensa open up available all hours. So these requests have often been straight up denied or refused by the department, And it's also been countered by a lack of availability of student workers, as well as a lack of financial complexity.
Yeah, and so we really want to bring students to be a part of those solutions, the student issues they've brought to us. Dining services had a lot of resistance with some of these things, but we want to be part of the solution and develop a program similar to an internship where we can utilize our business finance students, accounting, mathematics, and actuarial science majors to find out ways that we can have maybe a different configuration of the meal plan, because that's something our students have really expressed interest about. And even reaching out to the Scholars Program to utilize their service aspect of their organization to help dining services kind of experiment to see how can we open the Mensa for additional hours, how can we put out more nutritional information and really help students be a part of those solutions, because that's really important for us. And by doing this and creating spaces and ensuring spaces where we have where people feel safe, we want to have an opportunity for students to have more diverse interactions with students they may not come in contact with so much. We talk about people sitting in cliques in the Mensa, and we want to create spaces where people are really satisfied with the services they're getting from Wartburg, as well as satisfied with the spaces at Wartburg also. So thank you.
Alright, we're going to move on to the question. So each ticket will initially have 2 minutes to respond to the question, and then we'll do rebuttals, and we'll rotate who starts first, second, or third. So for the first question, we'll have Ashlee and Nathan start first. So as the student body president and vice president, you'll be working closely with administration. Describe your relationship with administration and how you plan on strengthening this relationship.
So right now, as vice president, I actually meet with President Coulson and Dean Kittle bi-weekly, and I think it's maybe not having every single relationship that you're best friends with a person of the faculty or staff, but it's utilizing an opportunity when you go to talk to them. And I think having those relationships now has really helped me, and knowing that I can bring to them a lot of things that I've heard from students, that really strengthens the relationship within that opportunity to go to them to say, we've been hearing this from students, and that in itself really strengthens those relationships.
And being the curator for TEDx, it's given me an opportunity to meet with a lot of different faculty in a lot of different departments, as well as serving on as many committees as I have for Senate. It's really given me a diverse amount of experience with every kind of faculty member, whether it be through environmental focus or the general education committee. I have a lot of experience working with professors, and that's something that I've always been trying to help grow over these 2 years.
Josh and Bree?
For us, we both are on the Multicultural Diversity Studies Committee, so we do have quite a couple of administrators that are on that committee, so we also talk to them every week. And then for myself, I was the MLK committee chair, and I had to work with a lot of administration for that week, and I worked with them for about 4 months before MLK week even started. So I've kind of made some connections through that. And then besides that, I'm also an RA, so I've had to talk to maintenance, I've had to work with residential life, student life, I've had to talk to P. Cole, Dan Kittle, student administrators like that, as well as working in Pathways. So I do have a connection with Pathway Center as well, and I work pretty closely with counseling services and career services as well.
Yeah, and in my position as Executive Assistant of Diversity, I work a lot with professors on campus. So I work with a lot of professors to look at how their courses are addressing diversity and how they're looking at how, for example, minority students are fitting in the class, whether international students are able to understand everything that's going on, many areas like that. So I do have a lot of working relationships with faculty and professors on campus. I also meet with a lot of faculty every month and some every week, some every 2 weeks. I meet with Dean Kittle often, I meet with Crystal Madlock often. I meet with a lot of professors and faculty and advisors on campus quite often to ensure that every student feels welcomed on campus. Also in my role as a journalist, I work a lot with professors to gain a better understanding of how the school works and how different aspects of the school function, and able to report those back to the student body. So I do have a lot of working relationships with professors and administration on campus, and I think that'll help quite a lot in making sure that students' voices are heard by them.
As I talked about earlier, I'm majoring in bio, and then I have Spanish and leadership minors, and I think that these different aspects of my education have really introduced me to a lot of different departments on campus, and really given me a unique perspective on different faculty. And I've gotten to know a lot of my professors, interacted with them, and heard their perspectives on what they want to see out of Wartburg. And then I would also like to commend Dean Kittle and President Coulson for their availability to us as senators and the students, and it makes it very easy to strengthen our bond with them, as they're always available and always ready to listen to us and hear what we have to say.
For sure, and I just would probably reiterate what Trygve has said. As an English and history major, I spend a lot of my time in Luther Hall, but thanks to the liberal education that Wartburg provides, I've also met with a lot of different professors in different areas of the college as well. And so as a member of ambassadors and also an executive on homecoming committee and a member of the Wurzel, I am able to interact with a variety of different people on campus, including professors and individuals in both the alumni office and admissions office and other departments as well. So.
All right, and then next we're going to move on to the rebuttal. You guys will have 1 minute. Josh and Bree, we'll start with you.
I guess just to reiterate what we said, being the working relationships that we currently have with administration would help us a lot in being able to get things done. A lot of the administration understands how we work as individuals. A lot of the administration understands how we work as a team because of the amount of things that we're in together and because of the influence that we have on the groups we mentioned in our opening statement. So really, we do have that working relationship, and if we are elected, we would be able to straight up jump into those positions without having to worry about building up that rapport with the administration.
Abby, you guys will have 1 minute.
I think Abby and I both hold leadership spots on campus that allow us to already have a rapport with administrations and the rest of the student bodies. So I think being able to hop into any discussion, anything to do with administration would not be a difficult task for us.
I think learning who to go to when you have certain issues is like the biggest learning curve when you come to Senate. At first, it's like learning the rules of when General Senate meets and what's going on. But second is trying to figure out who do I call when something's broke, who do I call when this issue's happening. And I think all of us have a lot of experience, and it's not just up to us. It is really important that we have those relationships and we know who to go to, but it's also important that we engage in the relationships that our senators have and our students have. And if we have someone who works personally with someone in their office, we can call on that student to help us out in that interaction. I think that's really important to not put all of the weight on our shoulders, but also to look to our senators to utilize their connections also, and so we can grow within those relationships also.
Next we'll move on to the rebuttal Trygve and Abby will start here.
Wow, okay. So I didn't know this was going to be that complicated, but for sure, just kind of reiterating the reiteration of what was said before. I think that just the relationships that everyone has had, we all have different unique places here on campus, so we have unique connections with other people, and so I feel like just those relationships we have already, and then also building upon those will be very vital for any of us to fill these roles here on campus.
Yeah, so just to reiterate all the reiterations, I think we all have a lot of experience. But I mean, especially like myself, I have the delegate experience, so I'm working with many different professors with all the committees or other projects that I'm working on. I'm always talking to professors and trying to get in touch with a lot more professors across campus. And I think me and Ashlee have really diversified ourselves in the amount of professors that we're able to communicate with. And I think that's just a really strong point to reiterate, because we can bring almost every kind of professor's views to the table, whether that be bringing up at open Senate or delegating their information back to our constituents.
I think, like Nathan touched on, the delegate initiative is a big part of that, getting in contact with students and their relationships, and we're not only growing our relationships with faculty and staff, but also the senators, which really helps empower them to know how to resolve conflict or issues on their own, which I think is a really important part of Senate also.
Yeah, I think it's, we've got to that point where we've said most things. But having the knowledge of, having worked with so many members of administration, to build off what Ashlee was saying, being able to point senators and students in the right direction and know who to work with is a big part of what we will be able to bring to the table.
All right, then we'll move on to the second question. If you guys don't have a response or rebuttal, you don't have to.
Okay. Okay.
Just to make it clear, yeah. Okay, so for the second question, we'll start with Josh and Bree. If elected, what are your plans for improving Senate, the student body, and the institution as a whole?
Well, we do have a couple of plans. The first thing we would say is building a relationship between the hall committees and Res Life, right? So at the moment, hall committees and Res Life, specifically the RAs, currently work off the same credit card, but they don't necessarily have a relationship. When I was serving as hall chair for the complex, it was difficult trying to get hall improvement projects done and social events done when I wasn't sure what the RAs were doing. Right, so the RAs were doing one thing and Res Life was doing one thing and we were trying to do another thing. So in order to increase how students have access to Senate, as well as to increase our engagement with the students and the general inclusivity of campus, we would make sure that when events are being held and when improvement projects are being done, we're utilizing as many resources as we have to do that.
Along with that as well, we have tried to implement the delegation plan into our diversity committee, and that pretty much consists of every single one of our senators having a student organization that they go to, and just have a quick 10-minute meeting every other week. So that just allows us to have a better connection with the student organizations, and have Senate have representatives, not just diversity committee, have representatives talk to the organization so we can bridge that gap a little bit more, as well as being able to have our social media be utilized for the student organization so that they can have their events or any meetings or anything that they have be displayed as a whole and not just from their social media that they have.
Trygve and Abby, you guys will go next. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, so I think this ties right into the student engagement initiative that we talked about during our opening statement. And I like what Bree said there about how we as senators, our job is to represent the student body, and increasing the dialogue we have amongst students, being able to get the minutes out to more people, and being able to get more feedback from people in a number of different ways, and just having an overall greater presence with the student body is really important to what we want to do, and into improving Senate, campus, all around just Wartburg in general.
For sure, and just building off of that, we just want to really create those relationships with the student body, senators, and faculty alike. And so I feel as if implementing the student engagement initiative will be a really big step in creating those relationships around campus.
You guys will have 2 minutes.
Okay. So one thing that we've been thinking about doing to help increase the communication between students and senators is to host like RA and senator programs. So the RA, along with one of our senators, would help host a program. And this would be a time where we can come and have like an enjoyable time, as the RA programs usually are. But it will also give the chance for the senators to hear problems that usually get brought up at those RA meetings. And this will be a lot more of a direct representation and a lot more of a direct way for us to interact with our constituents. So the floors that we represent, we can attend the RA meetings for that floor, maybe with a few like changes with gender and such. But this will really help us get a lot more of the issues to the student senate meetings, which a lot of the times we know about them, but they don't always get brought up, which is unfortunate. And we really want to help eliminate that gap.
And then also, quite different from that, but in topics passed last year, and it's always a problem that it's never solvable completely, but when we talk about sexual assault culture and rape culture, those are things that we can't just change from one person, but it's a collective change with everyone's mindsets and everyone's actions. And I've currently even had a conversation with President Colson today, similar to our first year when we had orientation about alcohol and drug abuse. Similar to that, I think that was almost more powerful because it was a presence of someone talking to you and really reaching you in a personal way. And I've heard from multiple students that the sexual assault tutorial that we go through the first couple years of being at Wartburg isn't as effective because it's easy to click through it and it's easy to absentmindedly go through it. But if we started a program and had a similar program where it was a face-to-face interaction of this is what sexual assault looks like, these are the signs that you need to start changing your actions, and moving forward with a program like that.
And then you guys have a minute to rebuttal. We'll start with Trygve and Abby.
I really have nothing else to say, but I really, really appreciate what Ashlee said there. I think that's a really great idea, and I think that this is what great campuses are all about, is a campus full of change makers and innovators here on campus, and I just really appreciate that we have Senate and we are this voice in between the student body and the administration, so I just really want to commend you for that wonderful proposal.
Great idea. Oh, I had some of that. I don't anymore. I don't remember.
We can do it for the rebuttal.
Yeah.
You guys have 30 seconds left. Ashlee and Nathan?
I think any response that we have to any question, they're valuable to all of us. Like Abby just commended my answer. I think everything that we have as like great ideas is something that every administration should consider. Whoever gets elected, it's important for us to consider everything because there are obviously problems that have been voiced and solutions that we're thinking of. And so I think it's great that we consider and we admire the ideas of each other.
I really just want to say thank you guys, and like our ideas come from you. Like we want to help you. Like that's why we're running, and it's pretty much it. At least for this rebuttal.
So I would like to say I agree with both tickets of what they said. So yeah, but I also wanted to add in for our opening speech, we talked about inclusivity. I believe that in order to have student engagement and in order to have an effective student senate, we have to have engagement and inclusivity. If students don't feel like they're included, they will not speak up. And I think that especially in the past situation for the sexual assault as well as the racial slurs, I think that we need to make this campus feel safe no matter who's in office. Everyone needs to make the campus feel safe in order for them to speak up about what needs to be changed on campus.
Yeah, and now the rebuttal to the rebuttal. Again, you don't have to rebuttal if you don't have one, but you guys have 1 minute. No, actually, Nathan will start with you guys.
I don't think we have anything for this rebuttal.
Okay, I remember what I wanted to say. That's our turn.
Josh and Breyanna.
Okay.
Okay, Josh and Breyanna, you guys have a minute. Okay.
I saw the little head shake no, and I thought we were up. But okay, so the first time Nathan spoke, he talked about the RA and senators meeting together, and I think that kind of goes back to our student engagement initiative, and I think that's a great idea to integrate Senate and RAs more, so it's not just senators on their own, and you can have an actual event. And I think that's a great idea, and I think that is something that we would like to use too.
Next, we'll move on to our final question. Trygve and Abby, you guys will be starting with this one. And you guys all have touched on this already, but just for an opportunity for you guys to go in depth. How do you plan on addressing student issues that are deeply rooted, such as sexual assault and racism? And what role does Senate play in handling this? You guys have 2 minutes to respond.
Okay, so I would just like to go back to the opening statement and how these events are not one-time things. They are not one time and you can address it and then they can go away. They are definitely something that has rooted in many of our mindset, even though we don't think about it. And so I feel as if Senate has a priority to its student body to change how we react and act, and also the way we think. And so I feel as if we continue with these dialogues that we've been having on campus recently about with the rallies and then the table talks and all of those things, I think that would be a really beneficial way to address these issues at the root of where they are coming from.
Yeah, and to add to that, a lot of the stuff that's happened over these last couple of weeks, the campus's response has been to increase how students feel safe, increase security, and all that. And that shouldn't be a one-time thing where we have to have an event happen for us to go out and say, hey, we need to have a more secure campus, we need students to feel more safe. It should be something that we always have going on, not just when something awful happens or on campus. It should be something that's year-round, and we would like to work towards making that happen, making students feel safe no matter what.
Just like Trygve said, these incidents should not be a one-time thing that spark us to start having these conversations. They should be ongoing. But I think they are great opportunities to finally start those conversations when they are needed. And it almost brings us together even when the campus is scared and when we're angry. And just like Naomi said the other week at the rally, it's one thing to make a statement, but it's another to have a call of action. When we say hate has no place here, I think that's right to say it's not a fact, but it's up to us to move toward it making it a fact, and hold each other accountable to say that hate has no place here, so we need to act like it. And if someone's not acting like it, it's up to us individually, as a team, as a community, to create that within ourselves and within our friends.
Yeah. So one thing I just really want to say, like, we appreciate the chats. Like, we were both able to attend, and we thought that was very helpful for everyone in the community as well as the administration. And I think that Senate can help apply and make those a lot more, like, of a reoccurring theme. Because I think that's something that really helps the students out, and I think that's something that Senate can, like, directly do to really help push for ending those types of issues on campus.
So the main role of Senate, in my view, in these situations, is to make sure that every student has their voices heard and acknowledged by everyone who is an administrator on campus. So I agree with what they were saying, that we need to have programs that are ongoing, like we said in our mission statement, in our opening statement, to make sure that we address these issues without letting them just fall away on the wayside. These need to be continuous conversations that we're having in making sure that everyone is fully aware of everything that's going on and that this is an ongoing process in which that we have to address. One of the things I would say in response to these is to make sure that we are having programs that tell people not to just be complicit. Don't stand by and watch. If it's someone that you know who's committing these acts, that's not a reason to not report them. If you know this person, that is then your responsibility to do that. So I would like to work with the administration to come up with programs that make sure that we're teaching people that. Again, we want to make this campus as safe as possible, and we will be holding the necessary people accountable for the promises that have been made, and we will, again, hold ourselves accountable for what we've said.
And we would also, okay. We would also like to make sure that everyone on campus knows that this is not something that only happens once. Like, this has been going on for a long time. Sexual assault and racial slurs and racism have been going on for a long time, and it's up to us to try to change the Wartburg culture so that we, as the people of Wartburg, are able to go out into the world and change it.
All right, and then moving on to the rebuttal, Ashlee and Nathan, we'll start with you guys. You have a minute.
Yeah, I think it's hard to change a culture because it's one person by one person, and it's such a big issue, and you're never done. There's always another culture change, something else that needs to happen to improve the community. And I think one small aspect with what you guys touched on, even reporting issues, when people know what to report, especially with sexual harassment and sexual assault and racial slurs, to be able to be comfortable with the administration and knowing who to go to and know when to go to. I know there was a survey sent out earlier this year as to sexual assault, asking people how many have been assaulted, and very few numbers reported that they had, but then after being explained to what that actually meant, the numbers increased a lot. And so I think knowing when to report something and knowing who to report it to is also a big part of the culture change, so we can see how bad it really is, and for us to have that realization of this is a bigger need than we think.
Josh and Bree, you have a minute to rebuttal.
Yeah, I agree. We do need to make sure that in all of the programs that we're working on, we are able to adapt to the needs that the student body has. It is important that we're having proactive conversations and making sure that we can prevent situations like this and allocating the necessary resources to make students feel safe. But it's an ongoing thing where we need to have, in my view, small group discussions so that we can influence and impact people personally.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. This isn't an easy thing to change. It's a tough thing wherever you go to change mindsets, cultural things that happen. But it's building blocks. So we have to take it little by little with everything we do, and keep pushing to make this college better and for people to feel safer and welcomed here and make this home for all of us.
Okay. Well, I just think that we need to use this as an opportunity to bring everyone together, and just kind of going off of what everybody else has said. It's our responsibility as to the student body within Student Senate to hold people accountable and to enforce these programs.
All right, and then you guys have a minute to respond to the rebuttals if you need to. Josh and Bree will start with you guys.
So we want to just explain to everyone that we have known about these situations, and we are currently, Bree and I, working to try and find ways to be proactive about this. So the first thing we're doing is we are currently working with Title IX to put out a poster that allows everyone to see what channels they can use to report incidents like this of sexual misconduct, sexual abuse, and situations like that. So we're currently working to make sure that the students understand that. Another thing that we're doing with the MDSC and Diversity and Inclusion Council is we're currently working on a campus climate survey that we've worked through Diversity Committee to come up with this. Basically what it'll do is be sent to every student, and they'll have the opportunity to explain how they feel about campus. This will allow us to use that to find effective ways to make sure that we are working on the problems that the campus has, and that we can address all of these issues properly. So we're not just sitting up here saying that we will do these things, we are currently doing these things.
Trygve and Abby, you guys have a minute.
I don't have anything to say.
We're good.
And Ashlee and Nathan.
Okay, so especially with Title IX, since the program just got revamped, I think that we as Student Senate can help push out the fact that it has been revamped, because we have a direct communication with our students and the constituents that we serve. So I think that we have the opportunity, as all of our senators, to send out that Title IX and really help inform all of our fellow students that this has been updated and it has been changed. As well as I'm personally working on finding solutions to this problem as well. I'm meeting with my delegate this week to try and discuss whether or not IS might be a good place to start implementing this IS, or this sexual harassment addressment. Whether it be we can form a new program into IS that basically just helps us with that sort of problem, like right when we get to school, because IS is the very first class that we take.
All right. Then we'll move on to audience questions, and then we'll do 3 minutes for the closing statement. Does anyone have a question?
Oh boy.
Jordan. Abby, my question is for you. Coming as a non-senator, I'd just like to know how, as the president or the VP candidate, you plan to adjust to like the ins and outs of Senate and being like the Senate president.
For sure, yeah. Thank you for that question. I'm really glad you brought that up, actually. So I have been involved in many different things on campus that have been involved with Senate. So, for example, many honor societies that we've gotten funding from them, and Dance Marathon, for an example. I've been reading those minutes that you guys have been you've sent out religiously, and so I feel like I've been very in tune with Senate. And along with this, I'm a very fast learner. I've been told that for my 3 years here at Wartburg, and so I feel as if I will be able to kind of adjust quickly, and then also not be afraid to ask questions as well, because I want to make sure that I can, if elected to this position, that I will be able to hold Senate in the best way that it can be run, and not have my lack of experience in Senate kind of hinder that. Thank you for that question.
Okay, that question was directed at Trygve and Abby, but you guys have a minute to also respond or answer if you need it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big learning curve for anybody when you walk into a position. You may have seen what people do, but you never know exactly how to do it. And I think I'll really be able to help Nathan, even though I wasn't able to plan Alpha. It's a learning curve trying to run Senate and everything, so I think I can really help him in that position to get over that learning curve.
Also, in terms of Alpha, I did serve on the committee, so I do have some experience with Alpha.
For me, I have been in Senate for 3 years. This is my 3rd year. And then also kind of with Diversity Committee Chair, I think that kind of helps with having an advisor, which would be Josh for president, and then being able to run the meetings and take the minutes and everything. So I already do that. And as far as planning goes for like Outfly, I was MLK Committee Chair with a great committee, and I was able to have a great week of events. So hopefully I can pack it into one day for Outfly.
All right.
So you're all heavily involved on campus, which is pretty customary for a Wartburg student. So I'm just wondering how you plan to prioritize Senate so that we can, as a student body, trust that you will fulfill what these roles entail.
First. So Josh and I have already talked about this because all of us are heavily involved, and we have made a promise to ourselves and to each other that we will step down from positions that will conflict with the president and vice president positions. We believe that ultimately these positions are the most important. We are able to influence other organizations we may have to step down from, and we're able to make changes for the campus a little bit more than we can in our smaller student organizations.
I think as representatives, it's up to us to make sure that we are standing up for everyone. And so if we were to not step down from other positions that would hinder our ability to effectively govern the student body, that wouldn't be fair to all of the students. There are 1,527 students at Wartburg. If we get elected, we are responsible for representing all of us. So it is important to us that if this happens, we will step down from every other position.
Okay, Trygve and Ashlee.
Yeah, so my biggest time commitment right now is currently football, and if elected and I have significant conflicts with that, I would be willing to step away from football and pursue Senate and put all my focus and all my commitment here. And yeah.
For sure, and I just definitely think as running mates, I think that we will hold each other accountable, just in case things do get a little bit dicey in some areas. We will definitely talk with one another and make sure that our priorities are in the right place. Definitely, I think that as members of this Wartburg community, that everyone is heavily involved in things, and that with that comes the ability to time manage as well. And I feel as if we all have those skills in order to kind of juggle everything, but we'll definitely put Senate above everything else other than education, of course. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think everyone kind of always has their own thing, whether it's you're in football, you're in arts, you're in like one organization specifically, and I think Senate has always been my thing. I am in choir also, but it's always been my commitment, and I've always put my whole heart into it. And I worked with vice president, and I've watched presidents in the past and what kind of commitment they put into it, and I know that there is additional commitment. Sometimes you gotta stay up a little longer to finish that report, or get up a little earlier to meet with someone about something, and that's something that I really enjoy doing. I love going the extra mile, especially for an organization like this. This is what I get the most satisfaction out of. When I first came to campus as a freshman, this was the first question I asked my ambassador about, like, what do you have for student government? Because this is always what I've wanted to do. And so I theoretically wouldn't be giving up too much. I wouldn't have to sacrifice much because I'm already in the position that I'm very committed time-wise and passion-wise.
All right.
Josh, you had mentioned a poster that would show ways in which people that will inform the student body on ways in which to report sexual assault. But a big thing about conversations in the past 2 weeks has been that there have been incidents in which women, females at Wartburg were assaulted, and it was sort of swept underneath the rug or ignored. So what, if anything, do you have to improve on the ways in which we can report assault?
So one of the things that's been worked on is obviously the Title IX group has made sure that they actually came and presented in Senate a couple of weeks ago, that their website is as easily accessible as possible. And what we want to do is add on to that by making sure that everyone, including campus security, makes it as easy for people to report these incidents as possible, and that if they do get reported to campus security, they are addressed immediately by security. We don't want security waiting around to get to reporting these events. And we also want to, with the help of Dean Kittle, make sure that if things like this happen, the Wartburg alert system is used to make sure that students know that these things are happening, and they can take extra precautions into making sure that they feel safe.
And we also want to keep having these conversations. We want to make sure that everyone knows that this is something that happens on a daily basis. And honestly, we can't change the culture of the world, but we can try one by one to change the culture of Wartburg. So we want to make sure that all these conversations are not over. So we don't want it to come to next year and the conversation's over and nobody's talking about it. We want this to be a recurring
Time.
Oh, sorry.
The question was directed at Josh and Bree, but you guys will have a minute.
Yeah, we would like to reiterate and say that we would like to increase dialogue on campus, and when sexual assaults are reported, that they not just get reported and that's the end of it, that students are aware that things are happening, that there are negatives here, that there is sexual assault on campus, and that we can increase the dialoguing, increase prevention, and a better understanding of how to deal with those issues going forward.
Yeah, and for sure, just with your comment saying that they were swept under the rug, I definitely think that increasing that communication and that clarity between the administration, security, and students in order to make everyone as safe as possible definitely needs to be addressed as well. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, so, I mean, everything they're saying, like, we would love to help out with and do our part in that as well. But, like, one of the things I think we can do right now is really help inform our RA staff, because they're the ones that are, like, directly linked with every single floor and building on campus. And I think as Student Senate, we can really help work with the RA, because we are all part of student life. And I think we really have the opportunity to help make that better communication and a better platform to students to come to help report these kind of incidents.
And also, students have talked about how to educate security better on how to address and talk to those victims when they come to security, the kind of language to talk to them, to make it, to validate their experience and what happened to them. And also, we've talked to President Colson about the Wartburg alert system, and we think that is a very valuable tool for us to be able to push out information. But some problems that have come into place is that our parents sign up for the Wartburg alerts too, and people that aren't really incorporated with the campus at all, and so they're looking for a different mode of communication to put out those same alerts.
All right, we'll take one more question.
This question goes to all the candidates. How will you ensure that there's no political bias in your decision making? Because I know that the decision to deny Turning Point USA this year faced a lot of controversy as to how the process was handled.
We'll start with Nathan and Ashlee.
Yeah, so I was on the committee SRC, and we worked very heavily day and night and weekends and over the break especially to try and really figure out, is this the best kind of organization for campus? And myself, I have no political bias. I try and stay educated on everything that's going on, and I don't try and put my thoughts towards one party or another. I think it's important to stay open-minded, especially in something like politics. So when we approach something as Turning Point, it was very important, at least to me, to stay extremely neutral and say, is this something we do want on campus? Is this something that would affect others who may have a belief in this aspect? So when it came to Turning Point especially, that's something that we were looking very heavily at, and especially myself. And I know that Trygve also was on SRC, and we were both working very hard to make sure that we are doing what we are supposed to for campus.
And I think it is also important to, when we do have biases and people who do have those specific opinions, to engage in those people, and so we can have to discuss the conflict and see, what is conflicting. And at the end of the day, it wasn't our sole decision.
Yeah, I think it is important, like we were saying in our opening statement, we want to make sure that we listen to all people's voices, even if we may have different ideas. So for us, like they said, it is important to stay neutral in those situations and make sure that we're looking at what's best for all students. Okay, so in situations where there may be political disagreements and people might not see eye to eye on things, we need to make sure that we as exec and as leaders are finding the best solutions to these issues and making sure that we can come up with a way where everyone feels satisfied, but without having to engage in one-sided political action. So we do want to make sure that in everything we're doing, we're looking at every side of the argument and making sure that we're protecting all students.
Oh, okay, never mind.
All right, we're up. Okay. I was also very heavily involved with Turning Point and it going through Senate. So to speak on it, we worked very hard to make things. So Turning Point was actually approved by SRC before it got through full Senate. And so in SRC, I worked very hard to make sure things got amended in their constitution so they were able to be approved and reflect Wartburg's mission statement and things we wanted. So we worked very hard to make it align with Wartburg's mission first and foremost, and be what we thought the student body reflected, which is what Senate does. So politically, we had no bias there. We were just trying to do what we thought was what could get the organization approved and reflect Wartburg College as best as possible.
Okay, we'll do one more question. Did you
Yeah, just kind of going back to the topic of the sexual sexual assault. All states have essentially mentioned increasing communication between the campus and security. My question is, how would you change the levels of security to essentially prevent or to ensure these events do not happen on a regular basis?
Okay, so President Colson sent out an email recently about having cameras installed on campus, and I think we need to push for those to be installed faster and have that system up and running so people are aware that these things aren't okay, because right now on Wartburg, there's crimes that happen, there's stuff people get away with simply because we don't have the technology to monitor people or to show that people are doing certain things. So it's important to increase security in that aspect, and as well as just have security more present on the weekends. Like this past weekend, I know I saw them walking around on my floor personally, and I'm sure that on a lot of other people's floors, but it should be like, we should push to have that more often so people are aware that security is there and this is not okay to be going around and doing stuff that's,
Yeah. So in terms of security, one of the big issues with security is where we're going to put the cameras. And I know that the cameras right now are set to be in almost every single dorm, aside from at least Vollmer to my knowledge, due to hardships with it being a different kind of building material. But I do agree that we need to push forward to get these cameras quicker. But I think the right start to what we're doing is to put them in at least the openings and the entrances. I don't think hallways is right for right now. I think it's a little bit too invasive on students' privacy within that hallway, and I think interest covers all our bases. But I mean, there's so much we can do as student senate and students alike to help make sure that each of our cells are safe on campus, as well as push for making those changes to see what we want happen on campus, whether it be cameras or better security training or classes that help us defend ourselves. There's a lot we can do as a community.
All right, we'll move on to our closing statement. Sorry.
Yeah, I think like Nathan said, that these situations are difficult, specifically with the cameras. But what we can promise is that we will allocate the necessary resources where they're needed. Whatever we can do to assure that, for example, giving money to help with the cameras or whatever research is needed, we guarantee that we will do whatever we can to make sure that the necessary resources are put in the right places.
Okay, we'll move on to our closing statement. You guys get 3 minutes. Okay, we're gonna start with Josh and Bree.
So yeah, we can kind of see people starting to fizzle out. We want to say thank you to everyone for coming. We really do appreciate you coming and asking questions, coming to find out more about us. We want to ensure you that we are here to listen to all students. Every student's voice counts, and every student's voice is as important to us as our own. We want to make sure that everything that you guys want done, we want to work towards making sure that these things get done.
And we ask that no matter who is in the office after this election, that you hold them accountable to be leaders on this campus and to change the culture at Wartburg.
Perfect. Yeah, so you're going to get a lot of thank yous. So thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Just like they said, it's really nice to kind of hear what you guys are saying and what kind of things that you guys would like us to, what's the word I'm looking for? Wow, I've been talking so much I can't even think of the word. But that you guys would like to see changed on campus. Just kind of a reiteration, we as a candidate ticket, that's the word, we would like to put together a student engagement initiative to make sure that all students on this campus are having their voices heard and are getting their ideas put into Senate and put into action. Along with this, we want to have clear communication in order to build relationships with students and other faculty on campus as well.
And then we also would really like to reiterate how important everyone's safety and diversity diversity inclusion is to us on campus. Wartburg is home to all of us, and it should feel like home. And for people to have to come here and feel like they are pushed away or this isn't someplace they belong is an awful thing to happen here. So we would really like to push for everyone to feel like this is their home and a place they belong. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you everyone for coming. But Nathan and I, we really chose to run for these positions as president and vice president because we have a passion for this organization, we have a passion to lead, and we have the knowledge and experience to put forth our efforts, whether that's safety, making changes to dining services, and incorporating the great ideas that our other tickets have mentioned. And we also have the drive to serve. We want to use our positions to lead our senators and our students and to serve them and to make the changes that they want. We have the determination to see those changes through, as well as our aim is to unite the student voice, to hear a collective voice and find out exactly what the students want, and then for us to push that toward the college and for that to spearhead our efforts as a Senate.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it is our job as student government to unify the student voice, to work towards making a change that is needed, and to hold ourselves accountable to see that our efforts are followed through. Finally, it is our job as student body to hold the college accountable for the changes voiced by the students, and we will work to serve the Senate and lead the Senate in unifying the student voice and to serve you.
Thank you.
All right, again, thank you everybody. Voting for president and vice president will start midnight on the 13th, so midnight or tonight. If you're still up. And then in the event that a ticket doesn't get over 50%, we will have a runoff debate and a runoff election. The runoff debate will be on Thursday at 7 o'clock in here. It will be a lot shorter, I promise. And the runoff election and the election for treasurer and recorder will be on the 20th.